We're going to go straight back in. The first race we're going to begin with is the 150 at Haydock as a graduation chase. And I know that this has annoyed you a little bit because it's cut up this race and you quite fancied one that's moved elsewhere. But it's left it very open for the jukebox man.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity here for the jukebox man. Everyone would be really excited to see this horse back after a great performance in the Quarto Star last year. We haven't seen him since due to injury. This is a great starting point for this horse. I'd be hugely disappointed if he got beat here. He had lots of different alternatives in the last couple of weeks, but I feel this is just the perfect race for him. Confidence boost ahead of a likely run of the King George. I think Iroko is the nearest danger. I can't imagine this one being absolutely fully tuned up, can you? He's likely to be campaigned again for the Grand National at the end of the season. So, expect him to jump fence to fence, lead all the way, and, great to see him back.
Yeah, I think, listen, Ben Pauling's got some very, very lively chances on Saturday, ones you cannot ignore. And actually, probably, if he's honest with himself, two of his apples of his eyes, really. Definitely.
Handstands as well, yeah.
Two beautiful horses. The Jukebox Man is one of those that really captures the imagination, though he's a little bit flamboyant. If he's on his A game, he'll be jumping, popping, and I think they'll make this quite an uncomplicated ride. Yeah. Is my gut feeling. I think they'll keep him very handy if he's able to take up the running early enough. I think they will, and then I think they'll just try and inject the pace a bit like they did at Newbury last season before going to Kempton, where the tactics were slightly different, but ultimately the result was the same. This is a really nice horse, the Jukebox Man. Where he ends up at the end of the season is anyone's guess. My gut feeling is he's more of a Ryanair horse than he is anything if he's going to be at Cheltenham. But having said that, I think if I was absolutely honest, I think he'd be better at places like Aintree than he would be at places like Cheltenham. Is again my gut feeling. Albeit he did finish second in an Albert Bartlett. It's just that way he goes about things.
Should have won that day, shouldn't he?
Yeah,
it's just like the last. Is that a story coming down in late?
Yeah, it was. It certainly was. But it's just the way he goes about things. He's quite exuberant, which doesn't bode well for what you've got at the end of a race. And Cheltenham is often about what you got at the end of the race. Whereas there's lots of other tracks like your Newburys and your Weatherbys and your Aintrees where actually it's about what you can do all the way through the race. So I'm just gonna say that Jukebox Man is a confident selection. He's a okay price at sort of nearly even money.
Yeah, I was quite surprised to see that, to be honest. And I don't think it's the most competitive affairs. I mean, he's returning from an absence, so obviously that will be judged by the price here. But I'd expect to see plenty of money come for him, and definitely go off shorter. So if you can get that around 4 to 5, take it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's stick with it. The Jukebox Man for both of us.
Yeah,
absolutely looking forward to that one. Well, if you're talking about good horse races, the next race is albeit only 4 runners, is a race we really look forward to every year. The Morgiana Hurdle over at Punchestown with Lossiemouth versus Irancy. You've also got Ndarwi for Elliot over there. I'm not sure about the 4th horse. I think that's just picking up some prize money. But those 3 horses are 3 smart horses. But it's Lossiemouth to lose, isn't it?
Yeah, they can't give away, can they? First time out for the season, but you've got to remember, so Morgiana Hurdle, Grade 1, so she's going to be tuned up, ready to rock and roll, and I'd be very disappointed if she got beat here. She'd probably be my favourite horse in training, to be honest. Outstanding horse. I think we only forget she's still only 6. It's incredible, really. She's been around for years. I'm really hoping she ends up in champion a hurdle this year.
Do we think it'll happen? Do you think that'll happen, honestly?
Like
they've taken the option.
Surely Rich Richie's going to want to go and have a crack at it, right?
They've taken the option. They had the Hatton's Grace, which is like next week, isn't it?
Yep.
Over 2.5, which is definitely probably, based on what we've seen of her, if she's going to go down a mare's campaign, is more suitable. There's a 2-mile opportunity here. There's been a bit of moving of Willie's horses around. Do we think that he might just be thinking...
I think with State Man's absence as well, I think she's very likely to go for the champion.
Has that twisted the sort of feeling, do you think?
It's different ownership, isn't it? Like, Rich Richie, in my opinion, has the best horse. Like, this horse was second in a Christmas hurdle behind Constitution Hill last year. She hated every single minute of that race. Was only beaten 2 lengths at the line. I thought it was a phenomenal performance in the grand scheme of things. Since then, absolutely dotted up at Cheltenham in the mares. But she beat a very, very good horse that day, and just has to have a crack at a champ hurdle, in my opinion. And I think she will go and win it.
It seems the right time, doesn't it?
Yeah,
everything.
She's flawless.
When you consider State Man's there, Constitution Hill is still in that sort of grey area. Willie won't he? You've got the new line stepping in, William Money stepping up. Like it just feels like, hang on a minute, we've got this unbelievable mare who none of them would be able to beat if it was on a going day.
She'd be taking on a lot of novices from last season, won't she? She's the proven campaigner and loves Cheltenham as well for a start.
Well, let's hope
unbeaten around there.
Well, let's hope they go down that route. But I take it you Lossiemouth to beat Irancy. How close do you think Irancy will get?
Irancy's a very good horse. I don't think she'll absolutely bolt her, but I think she'll do it pretty comfortably.
Okay. All right. I think it's probably one of the most nailed on forecasts you're probably ever going to get, in my opinion. I think that will be the way that one goes. So, hey, look forward to it. It's Lossiemouth to be back and hopefully lay a marker down for the champion hurdle. Then we move on to the 225, which is a handicap hurdle, staying handicap hurdle. I'll tell you what, when I looked through this, there was some seriously interesting horses to go through. I should imagine we've got a few different ones. I've not looked at yours yet, but where have you gone?
Touch on Shoot first.
Okay.
Ridden by Ben Macy, take off a 7. Literally had just a pipe opener, I'd say, the last time. Yeah, previous winner of this race. Has a lot of weight, ended up running some really good races last year. Very shrewd connections in Charles Burns.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they're looking to regain their crown again. I just think there's going to be something a little bit less exposed in the race, and I'm going to go with Nab Wood. Hopefully, do that. Nicky Richards in really, really good form at the moment. I actually backed this one up at Ayr. I think it was 3 weeks ago. Quite exposed over 3 mile. It's in softer conditions that day. It was so well on top of the line, and ultimately had plenty in hand. Just think he's at the right end of the handicap here, with lots more to come. Confidence is high. Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's ultra competitive, but I think at a price, it's definitely worth an each way bet.
Okay. Good man. Nab Wood for Tom then. Look, 2 I've highlighted. One, first and foremost, I think Electric Mason is a horse still on a nice mark. He's gone up £4 for a really good run against Marchantou. Marchantou went up £9 for that win. There wasn't that much between them, really. Marchantou was impressive in the way that it travelled, but Electric Mason had to do a lot of the donkey work that day, and I think they'll probably look to take a little bit more of a toe into this type of race at Haydock, especially given the ground will be a little bit softer than it was at Cheltenham. So I think Electric Mason, off that mark, is more than capable of running a big race again. I put it up at 25-1 at Cheltenham. It wasn't beaten far into second, so I can see it going pretty well again. So I'm going to say that one, and I also want to talk about Titan Discovery, who's a really fast improving horse for Robbie Llewellyn, who's a trainer making a fair few waves in the ranks. He's doing pretty well for himself. He's got a bit of support. These owners, Tom and I know the owners personally in terms of, like, we've crossed paths and they've had horses with your brother and stuff before. This is a nice horse, this. It won at Windsor in a really good race. You go back through and have a look at some of the form. A horse that finished 4th that day, pretty well beaten off a horse called Deep Cave, and that won a really good race the other day. And instantly, Christian Williams started talking about nationals for that type of horse. So, they've got a good one. Whether he's absolutely A1 tuned up for this day, I do not know. But what I do know is the step up to 3 miles on soft ground the last day was what saw this horse improve significantly. And I think that actually that's what he's going to be all about, staying handicaps, probably chasing in time. But for now, this looks at a fairly open enough handicap hurdle, and I wouldn't rule him out, and I think he's a decent price.
Yeah, I think he's got a right each way chance, to be fair. He's unexposed over 3 mile. He's a horse they've always thought a lot of. Best of luck to them. This is a very deep race, so if he does go and win this, he's a fair horse now. But he's definitely, I think, unexposed and has a bit of movement there. Bit of movement still in his handicap mark. So.
Yeah, cool. Back to Ascot, the 240 Ascot hurdle. Now, if you like Lossiemouth, you're probably going to like this horse because this horse chased Lossiemouth home at Aintree. And I would say probably not necessarily the horse that's giving the biggest scare, because obviously Lossiemouth was beaten by Constitution Hill. But as Tom said, that race didn't quite go to plan. But in terms of a horse travelling for as long as Lossiemouth does on the bridle, Woodoo's probably the furthest I've seen a horse go with that horse on the bridle. And this is a horse that's only faced defeat once in its life itself, and that was against Lossiemouth. So Wadu comes here getting a bit of weight. Gordon Elliott loves the horse. Is there something there to beat it?
No, I don't think so. Whilst there's some plenty of good horses in the race, isn't there, in Celtic Dino, Altabelli, a couple of others to mention.
Crambo's goes well, Rain Ascot.
I just think we'll do coming here for a graded race at Ascot. You've got to like to think that she's going to be fully wrapped up here, in receipt of weight. She turns up, she wins. Simple as that, really. The only horse to ever beat her is Lossiemouth. There's none of them in the race, is there? So I think it's a great starting point for Wadu, and phenomenal wear, really. Like the amount of races she's won, it's just incredible in a short space of time too.
Well, I remember when she come to Cheltenham, and the first time, and Joyers beat Joyers, and Joyers was when I say smashed, and bearing in mind we're talking about a JP McManus horse being absolutely smashed. I think it was the last race at Cheltenham.
It was, yeah.
And you think, well, that's not got much chance.
Yeah.
But she beat it quite comfortably.
But Joyous since came out and won the big handicap hurdle up at Newbury as well, didn't it? So the form is just incredible, and Wadu has to be the one to go on and win this race.
And we made her the Get Out Stakes at Cheltenham last year and told everybody to back it.
I'll make Paddy Lee.
If it was going to happen. Right, okay, so we'll sit with Wadu. Oh, like Tom says, Celtic Dino and Altabello. I think Celtic Dino is a very nice horse, by the way. Sam Thomas has got so many nice horses. This is another one of his. So if Wadu is not fit, ready, and fighting, there's horses there to pick up the pieces. It's not a bad race at all. So hopefully she does the business though. Right, Betfair Chase. I think this whole day on Saturday will be geared around. You'll hear Betfair Chase Day, Chase Day. It's a race that, in all truth and honesty, over the years has deteriorated in its quality. And the lineup this year probably lacks a superstar. Is that fair? But there's some nice horses in it.
Yeah, it's very much the same scenario, isn't it now? Your usual types are turning up. We've got basically a rematch again, haven't we? A few additions. We've got Grey Dawning, who was beaten last year by Royal Pagaille. Royal Pagaille is an absolute Haydock specialist and loves this race. And last year was an absolute slog, wasn't it? And that definitely played to that horse's strengths.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be quite as testing this year. And I think that's definitely going to suit Grey Dawning. Who comes here, the highest rated horse, is pretty clear on ratings, actually.
Yeah, very clear.
Ended up with a fantastic run up at Aintree behind Gaelic Warrior, suggesting that teed up really nicely for this campaign, hasn't it? And I'm excited to see this horse run, actually. Big fan of the Skeltons, and hopefully this one's going to be fully tuned up. And I just think we'll take a bit of beating, and the price at the moment isn't too bad for me. I think Steve was in agreement the other day as well, wasn't he? Thinking, looks too good to be true, but we'll see on the day. But Grey Dawning for me, lovely horse, and I think it's the one here.
Okay. Look, Grey Dawn is a really nice horse, and by no means am I going to give opposition here just for the sake of it. But I think that Hattie Kalors for Rebecca Curtis is the one that I'm going to be backing. One over hurdles, probably winning out of turn, dare I say, the last day. I don't think many people actually thought he'd be capable of giving all that weight to those half-decent hurdlers. But here it comes, this horse flying down the outside under a great ride by Sean Bowen, and doing the business. And I think that if there was going to be a horse from Britain or the UK this year that's going to run in the Gold Cup and actually make a good fist of it, I've got a feeling it's this horse. So I'm talking more about this horse for the future as a Gold Cup / Grand National type horse, not necessarily tomorrow. But I think if he's going to win that, he'll need to win this en route. That's the kind of mentality that I think you need to have. And for that, I think he'll be patiently enough ridden. I think he'll be held up. And I think there's a fair chance that Grey Dawning to get on with things. Could get a bit tired. And I think Hattie Kalors will come and pick them up. And that's how I kind of half envisage the race panning out. However, Grey Dawning does get a soft lead up front. They'll find it very, very difficult to peg it back.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how they're going to ride him, to be honest. They do switch it up a little bit, don't they? And I've often seen him, switched off and come there, or then other times he has kind of got on with it. But I just think if he turns up, then he's going to take the water beating.
Okay. Right, we're getting through these. We're back at Ascot for a really good handicap chase, 3:15 over 2 miles, just over 2 miles. I think I heard Joe Tizard talking about JPR1 the other day and how they're going to change tactics from his run or a couple of weeks for the Holden Gold Cup. Now, I think that's a good decision if they're going to do that. He's a lovely grey horse, does jump pretty well in the main. I remember him going from the front at Cheltenham and falling at the last. I think you were on it that day. Previously,
sticks in memory, that one.
And I just think that actually he could be the nice sort of type that could do pretty well in this type of race. You've got one who I put up a few weeks ago in for us, but do you think could probably benefit from the run and come in here?
Yeah, so Brookie, I think me and Steve in agreement that this horse could actually be badly handicapped this year after such hugely progressive last year, by the way. The form kind of come from nowhere. He's knocking about in pretty moderate, hurdles at one stage, and I think the switch to chasing ultimately is proving this horse to be much better than he actually was. The combat run up at Cheltenham was perfectly adequate. Was staying on third behind a horse called Calico, who is always sort of best fresh and loves up at Cheltenham. So I think there's going to be a big, fast-paced away mat here, which will definitely prove, I think will fall into Brookie's hands. And I think he's the one to be on with here at a fair price, with possibly more to come.
Yeah, I think what we've got there is one horse that will go from the front, one that will be held out. And I think that ultimately, whether they come together at the end or what, but I think it's definitely a fascinating race to
Sam Davis will lift him home.
Yeah, with Sam TD coming on the outside. Right, okay, back the last for the Saturdays before we talk about the John Durkan. The 3:35 back at Haydock, a big handicap chase over staying trip. I found Whistle Stop Tour as my horse to be on here. I thought it was quite an interesting run to run him over hurdles the last day, probably retaining a good mark over fences. It's got a nice fight. Jack Power rides the £5 claimer. He's riding great at the moment for Lucinda specifically. I think he's had winners almost every time he rides. Look, I like this horse. I think he ran in the Ultimate at the festival, was quite well punted for that as well. I think that'll probably be the aim again. Probably go back then is my gut feeling. And we know how Lucinda likes to target that race. So this looks the type of horse, I think, for me.
Yeah, no real major facts in this. It wasn't the most fashionable race for me on the day, but I'm going to go with Major Fortune for the Skeltons. Ran a nice race at Cheltenham last time, actually. Weird one, runs over a hugely different variety of trips from 2 miles to anything over 3 mile. This is going to be of a 3.25 mile, 3 mile 4?
It's a proper
which I think will actually suit this horse. He'll be ridden very, very cold by Skelton, and he will arrive very late on the scene, which I think could be a good move come Saturday, because they often get very tired in this race, understandably, and he could be the one just to pick up the piece late.
Yeah, lots of change coming up to that between those last two fences there, don't they?
Just comes there absolutely pulling the cart.
Yeah. Right, the last race we're going to cover. So thank you for sticking with us if you are at this point. Hopefully we've given you plenty of ideas and luck and winners for the weekend. But the final race we're going to cover is the John Durkan over at Punchestown on Sunday, which looks an absolute belt of a race. Fact to file, I know a load of you are going to be all over this. I know the way you're thinking. You've also got that horse who's going to be very, very popular. Gaelic Warrior. I mean, listen, guys, you're talking about one of the best horse races you're going to see anywhere, at any point of the season. Tom, I know the way you're thinking.
Yeah.
I know you love Fact to File. So how are you playing this race?
Yeah, Fact to File was one of the race last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the likelihood is he will do it again. I think the drop back to 2 miles at Punchestown Festival just went really against him, didn't it? After such a fantastic performance in the
Why do you
by the
reckon
way.
they've done that?
I simply think, because he is not a short pace at all, is he? Let's face it. It's coming at the end of the season, where they had a few runs by then. I think they just caught him off guard that day, and Marine Nationale rocked up, on the back of a Queen Mother Champion chase win. So, you're taking on the best of the best. There can't be any flaws in you. And I just question whether at the time the drop back to 2 was the right decision. Ultimately,
it wasn't. Ultimately, it wasn't, was it?
However, you cannot forget him on that run, can you? He comes back here in a race he's won before, over probably his optimum trip. I'm not convinced he wants 3 mile, actually. I think this is his trip. Ryanair is tailor-made for that horse. Yeah, you go through the others. I'm not going to be boring. I'm going to try and take an each-way punt here. I'm going to go with Hartwood, who, for some, might
Massive
think
price, by
what
the way.
you're talking about. But he comes here with a race under his belt. He's a very, very good horse for Henry de Bromhead in his own right.
A winning race, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think at a price around 20 to 1, a race-fit horse, where you got the likes of, I know the way you're thinking in there, who's a lot shorter in the betting, but his targets are going to be way later on down the line. Like, he doesn't want that trip. You know full well he's going to be outpaced. Probably run a nice race, but just be outpaced ultimately. And I can see Hartwood finishing in front of him. And if in doing so, could easily get in the first 3, you know. But I expect Fact Far to win the race, but at a price, Hartwood each way.
Okay. For me, I'm going to be with Gaelic Warrior in this. I really hope they declare on tomorrow and run in the race. Gaelic Warrior is a horse I absolutely love. I think he's the horse that will win the King George this year.
I agree with that.
I really do. I think I've had a good look through it. Gaelic Warrior to win the King George. Banbridge should go well in that as well, but that's for a different day. We'll talk about it. But definitely keen on Gaelic Warrior here. I think he'll get the run of the race. They'll travel well within his comfort zone. I think it's a really nice starting point for him. If he beats these good horses up, God knows what price he'll be for the King George after that, because I can tell you now it'd be somewhere near even money, I'd have thought, because he just looks a class above. And I know that it's going to take a good performance, because Paul Townend has got the dilemma on Boxing Day whether to stay, I think, in Ireland to ride Kopek de Boards or to come and have a chance of winning back-to-back King Georges on the Gaelic Warrior. So I think tomorrow is his sort of race. He's a better horse going right-handed, in my opinion. I think you'll be staggered to probably realise, if you don't already know, he's 7 years old. Talking about horses that seem to have been around,
Crazy, isn't it?
Lossiemouth, those colours, I mean, like such good consistency from these horses. I think he's going to travel nicely. I think he'll win. I really do. I think I can see it like being the sort of race where something goes off and sets a fair pace and gives it a good toe into the race. And I can see Factor File, them all travelling really good, but ultimately just kind of finding that it being like half a gear too quick. Factor File definitely going to be in the mix, obviously. But like you say, I know the way you're thinking, just looking good, but being outpaced. And do you know what I mean?
I later on down the line, I'll be all over him. He's a horse I love, but I just think on this occasion, it's just a case of getting a run into him with different targets down the line. They've got to start somewhere, haven't they?
Yeah. Listen, guys, that's all the racing we're going to cover for the weekend. So this video will be out there in 2 parts. This is part 2. If you're only seeing this one, you need to go and try and find part 1, because it's there. Hope you've found plenty of info and knowledge to take forward from that. That's what we try to do for you.
Go for a nap of the day?
Shall we?
Yeah, go for it.
Go on,
you kick it off.
You're getting this. I will go with for my... Oh, God.
Go on, I'll start then.
Go on.
I'm going to go with the 4 6s. Obviously, we're speaking a little bit ahead of time here. I'm not quite sure what price he is at the moment, but I think it's a hugely progressive horse that's found a very winnable race. I think he's taken a lot of beating. So the 4 6s for me in the 115 at Haydock.
I think Il Francais. Il Francais will jump from the front, and I don't think they'll catch it. I think there's a lot of reasons to oppose every single other horse, and you could probably find a reason to oppose this horse for sure, but I think there's enough more in his favour than there is against him for this type of race on this day. That's
one at a price.
One at a price for you. I'll definitely going to stick out. I'm going to stick Electric Mason to run a big race in the Stayers race again. I think he's a decent enough. I think he's a decent enough animal, and he's not on a bad mark.
Mine actually comes in the same race, the Haydock 225.
Oh, take it to Rob.
Nab Woods for Nicky Richards. We've touched them already. Unexposed of 3 mile. He's also in really, really good order, and he's right into the handicap. Lots more to come. Nice price. Worth an each way, that's for sure.
Tommy knows. Get on. Right, so thank you for listening. Thank you for following. If you don't already do so, make sure you do after this. If you want to grab our tippings, get involved in our tipping service, please do so. It's a real big growing community. We are smashing it at the moment, quite frankly. So if you're not on it, you should be. profit every single month is just what we do. So get involved. Horse racing ownership, still got shares for sale, sorry. So please do get in touch with that. For a lovely horse for Jamie Snowden called Mirabello, £100 for the whole season. Can't say fairer than that.
That trainer is absolutely flying at the minute. So.
Just about the best in the business right now. Thanks for listening. Cheers.
Thank you. Spot on.
I'll be your drink now.
Yeah, I touched it. Yeah, I didn't want to put